If you want to play more consistently, have more fun, and shoot in the 70s a lot more often, you need to spend more time on your mental game. The mental game really is a sliding scale. If you're shooting in the 100s or 90s right now, it's not as important, but it still is a big part of it. But as you get into the 80s and want to get in the 70s or even become a scratch golfer, you got to spend more time on your mental game. If you continue to avoid these rules, you're never going to have as much fun, you're not going to play to your potential, and you're probably not going to lower your handicap like you want. First mental golf rule you cannot ignore is to never set a score goal. Too many golfers are walking out on the first tee saying, I'm going to shoot 79 today, or I'm going to shoot my personal best. Don't get me wrong, I like the intention behind it, I like the confidence, but when you attach a number to your score, you put way too much pressure on yourself. As you know, golf is already hard enough. If you're out there thinking 79 or 75 or 72 or whatever your score goal is, it's gonna make golf even more difficult. So please, stop setting score goals and start setting process goals. With all my students, I encourage to have one goal for the round, and that is to be as committed as possible on every single shot. Get clear about your target, the club selection, what you want from the shot. The more clarity you walk into the shot with, the more confidence you're gonna have and the better shots you're gonna hit. And if you do that from the 1st to the 18th hole, you're gonna play a lot better and you're not gonna have nearly as much pressure on yourself. So stop setting score goals and start setting process goals. The second mental golf rule is to simply quit whining about bad breaks or really anything for that matter. Sorry if I'm being a little harsh here, but let's get real. Golf is a privilege. You need to have an attitude of gratitude on the golf course. If you're out there whining about a bad break or the green isn't in perfect shape, or you hit a good shot but then it ended up not going in, or whatever you're whining about, you're just adding a negative element to your group. One, nobody likes to play with someone like that, and two, it's not changing anything. So for example, when I get a bad break on the golf course, I try to just go on with my life and not say anything about it. Unfortunately, too many golfers will hit a good shot, maybe they're in a fairway divot, and then they want to tell everyone in the group, or can you believe this, or can you believe that? The woe is me mentality is not helping your game, so make it a rule to never whine. Tony Robbins had a great quote one time where he said something to the extent of, you want to spend 5% of your effort on the problem and 95% on the solution. So if you do hit a good shot but get a bad break, you want to spend the majority of your energy figuring out how to fix it. For example, I remember when I was playing in a tournament, on the first tee I hit a great tee shot. Once I got up there, I found it was right in the middle of a divot. One guy in my group looked at it and said, wow, that's such a bad break. I didn't even acknowledge it. I went on with my day, I just hit a good shot, I focused on what I could control. Whining is not helping your golf game, so quit it now, and I guarantee you're gonna have a better mental game and probably a lot lower scores. Before getting into my next mental golf rule, hit the comments now and let me know what is the best mental tip you've ever received. The third mental golf rule you need to have is to have a consistent pre-shot routine as much as possible. If you really wanna get your mind dialed and you wanna have as much confidence over every single shot, you need a consistent routine. That starts though by having it in practice. So first, develop your pre-shot routine in practice, make sure it is habitual, so that way when you get to the course, it's just your process. You know I have my practice swings here, I take a breath, I walk into the shot, I look at the target twice, and I go. I have a free pre-shot routine checklist that you can download, that way you can go through the process and start developing a good routine. But again, it has to start in practice, so that way you actually show up with it on the course. The fourth mental golf rule that goes right along with number 3 is to develop a post-shot routine. Because a pre-shot routine is great, it's gonna help you get mentally and physically prepared for the shot. However, what happens afterwards? If you hit a bad shot, chances are you have a post-shot routine, but it might not be a good one. You might throw a club, you might curse, you might get super frustrated. Everyone has different triggers, but we want to develop a post-shot routine so we can kind of encapsulate it, because there's nothing worse than hitting one bad shot and then spiraling out of control and hitting a few more, or even having a bad hole or a stretch of bad holes. So the fourth mental golf rule is to make sure to develop a post-shot routine. Now, some ideas for a good post-shot routine could include the 10-step rule. So you get 10 steps, you get to be as mad as you want, but by the time you get to the 11th step, then it's time to get over it and focus on the next shot. Again, if you're not whining about it and you have a good pre-shot routine, which again, we're building on as we go through this video, you're gonna have a lot more confidence and you're gonna be able to make the right decisions. Most blow-up holes happen because we're too angry and we're not thinking properly. So have a post-shot routine so that way you can figure out how to get some closure for the shot and then move on. Another good idea for a post-shot routine is the Velcro of your glove. Simply undo the Velcro of your glove, take a deep breath, and then that way you know, okay, that shot's over, we're on to the next one. The fifth mental golf rule that you must follow every single round if you really want to play your best is to focus on what you want. Stop focusing on what you don't want. Too many golfers focus on, I don't want to hit it in the water. I don't want to leave this putt short. I don't want to hit it out of bounds. When you focus on what you don't want, you're still focusing on that issue. So again, you want to give your mind clarity. And if you're thinking about that problem all the time, that's where your energy is going to go. So instead, paint a clear picture of where you want every shot to go. I want this drive to go on the right center of the fairway, and you get real clear about it. I want this approach shot to go just left of the pin, and you get real clear about it. It's okay during your pre-shot routine to talk about things you want to avoid, but then we want to shift our focus back to where we want to go. Again, get clear about your target. Get clear about your fucking planes.
There's a plane! There's a plane!
During your pre-shot routine, you want to get extreme clarity on your target. Your mind is super powerful, but the problem is a lot of us direct our mind negatively. And think about how many times you thought, don't hit it in the water, and then how many times have you ended up hitting it in the water? Now again, just because you think something doesn't mean it's naturally gonna happen, but we're always just trying to set ourselves up for success. So it's okay to acknowledge that there is water or there is out of bounds during your pre-shot routine. But if you're over the ball and you're still thinking, don't hit it in the water, it's time to step off, reset, and commit to your target. Stop thinking about the word don't and start giving your mind extreme clarity, because this thing is super powerful if we direct it correctly. So always focus on what you want, not what you don't want. The next mental golf rule is to make sure to always visualize or verbalize the shot that you want to hit. So going off our last point, again, we have to focus on what you want. But once you know what you want, whether it's a fade off the tee or a draw into the green or a chip shot that lands at that spot and then rolls like a putt, you want to make sure to either visualize it or verbalize it. Now, some golfers are great visualizers. They can kind of act like it's a movie out there in their head. They can see the shot tracer. They can see the ball going through this window. They have a lot of clarity. Myself, I'm not great with that. I can't see a ton of things like that. I can talk about it though. That's why you'll see certain players like Jordan Spieth and his caddy, they'll actually talk through a shot. They'll verbalize it. And verbalizing it can really help as well. So for me, I will actually say to myself, hey, I want to hit a 10-yard fade. I want to start it at this tree. I want it to end in the middle of the fairway. And I will verbalize that either with myself, if I have a caddy, or even with a fellow playing partner, just to give myself some clarity. So verbalize or visualize, so that way you're giving your mind the exact coordinates of where you want the ball to go. The final mental golf rule that you must follow if you want to break 80 consistently is to make sure you carry yourself like a champion. Your body language and your self-talk directly impact your performance. Not to mention, are going to make it more fun for everyone else in your group. And if you're not whining and you have strong body language and you have good self-talk, you're going to set yourself up for success. So once again, there's a lot you cannot control during the round. The weather, if people are crying in the background. There's a lot of things you can't control, but you want to make sure to control the controllables, and that's your body language and your self-talk. When you do that, you're actually going to send more power and strength to your mind. You're going to be able to play like you do in practice, and you're probably going to play a lot more consistently. Not to mention, it's more fun for you and everyone else in your group. So I challenge you to carry yourself like a champ, whether you're 20 over or 5 under. Better body language and better self-talk will lead to better performance. If you want even more help with your mental game, make sure to download my free 13-page mental golf playbook. In this guide, I will take you through some of the best strategies to help you have more fun and finally master your mental game.